So, something that I've been hearing a lot lately is, should I get on this platform? Basically, people asking, should I get on TikTok? Should I get on Twitter? Should I get on Instagram? Should I get on this, that, or the other? And especially for business owners, this isn't just like, is there fun content that I could enjoy? It's, if I get on this platform, will it actually help me grow my business? And that's what we're going to be talking about on today's episode of the BB&J podcast. I'm your host, John Lint, and let's get into it. So, I think the thing that really set this off for me was one of our clients was like, should I get on TikTok, basically? And we kind of went through, looked at what they were doing, looked at the way they were doing it, and, I ended up saying no. I was like, not yet. Because, this audience isn't where it needs to be. And you should be focusing your resources on other platforms. Because, ideal world, we wouldn't be on all the platforms, right? If you had all the time in the world to focus on social media, then absolutely you should be on as many platforms as humanly possible. And for media companies who like their thing is getting on a bunch of different platforms, or there's certain groups where you do want to be on every single platform possible, and you have the time and resources to focus on getting on every single platform as much as possible, right? Like if someone is there's like these sketch comedy channels or different groups, entertainment especially oriented channels, organizations. Maybe they start off on like YouTube or Instagram, but they just keep expanding on different platforms. But the nature of their industry and the nature of their work necessitates that, So if you are in a situation where, maybe you're like an influencer, or maybe you are like a comedy group that is solely online. Like if your whole thing is online and more like in that influencer space, then yeah, absolutely. You want to be getting on as many platforms as possible, so you can get as many people as possible, so companies will look at you and say, okay, well, this is someone that, we want to sponsor, because if we work with them, we're not just getting promotion, necessarily on, on one platform. That's it. We're not just getting a YouTube thing. We can also get something on, the podcast platform. We can get something on TikTok. We can get something. It gives them more flexibility, and that makes sense. That works because it's the specific thing. Because they're generalists. If you are a physical company, if you are a traditional organization, group, whatever, that's not necessarily the case. You do want to have some presence. But in terms of finding the right platform, you want to be on the platforms that your audience is on. Not just your existing audience, but your ideal audience. So if your audience is really active on TikTok, or the people that you want to work with are really active on TikTok, then get on TikTok. But if they're not, then don't. It's not a good use of your resources. It's really that simple. Because now you're not just building your personal brand or doing it for fun. You're doing it for a specific purpose. You're doing it to grow an audience for more business, right? To grow your business. Like that. That's really what all this boils down to. You want to be getting more customers, more clients, more people who want to work with you in general, or your company. But the thing is, like, there's probably a specific group of people that you want to work with. A big company, you know, let's say like Pepsi or Amazon, you know, their audience is super general. It's pretty much everyone. They want to be reaching everyone because, I mean, everyone drinks beverages of some sort. Let's see if we can get it to be Pepsi. And a lot of people order online, or they go to Whole Foods, or, you know, they go, everyone, like, a lot of people do online shopping. A lot of people go to grocery stores. So they want to get people doing their online shopping on Amazon. They want to get people going to the grocery stores at Whole Foods. So they want to be reaching as many people as possible. But if you are, like, let's say that you're the people who come in your door, the people you work with are generally an older audience. Well, guess what? Those people aren't really on TikTok. And if they are, they aren't on it in the same way that someone younger would be. The amount of time they spend on there tends to be lower. And you can actually look at the demographics of these different platforms. And it does a really good job of breaking it down, you know, in terms of like sharing information and privacy. Sometimes the minutia of those demographics are restricted from public access, but you can find out information. So right now I could pull up, I could just like search TikTok age distribution and figure out, okay, what age group is most likely to be there. I can do the same thing for, you know, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Tumblr, MySpace, eBaum's World, you know, whatever it is. You can find a better insight of the audience. And from there, focus on the platforms where your audience is most active. Now, that being said, is there no way to reach an older audience on TikTok? No, you can absolutely do it. I mean, you know, there's creators who, like, I don't know anyone my age who sees, but I know a lot of older people almost like see, and it's almost an exclusive gap where the vast majority of the audience is that older demographic. And the thing about these modern platforms is they are so large that you can probably find people who are interested in that demographic, right? But if you have an in-person thing, see, as you get more restrictive or more focused and specific with your brand, your company, your organization, whatever it is, you have more limitations on, you know, what you can kind of see on the platforms, or what kind of platforms you should be on. So if I'm a restaurant, for example, in a town, well, I can reach out to. We've talked about this before. Like, I can reach out to anyone I want. If I'm in Illinois, I can reach out to people in Washington, and they'll be like, "Oh, how cool this restaurant is," and follow me, whatever. But that's not as important as reaching the local audience. So, if you have an in-person service, or if you cater to a specific, demographic, this being geographic. Demographic. We've talked about geo-tagging, geo-targeting, all that before. Then you want to be on the platforms that geography is most on. With a little bit of searching, with a little bit of due diligence, you can find this stuff out. And I guarantee that it will make a huge difference for how effective your social media activity is. Now, with all of this, and this is something that the BB Digital Lab especially really focuses on, is what is the most efficient way that we can adapt content so you don't need to reinvent the wheel every time you get on a new platform, Because unless like you just eat, sleep, and breathe getting on as many platforms as possible, producing as much content as possible, or you have a massive company that can just put everything everywhere, has like a whole, if you have like a 30-person social media team, then that's one thing. Then you can custom tailor content for different platforms, and I'll admit it will be more effective, but especially if you're a smaller company or you don't have a massive social media team, which most groups, organizations, and people don't, then that's not going to be a good use of your time. You're going to be putting so much time and work into it that's going to take away from all the other stuff that you have to do, especially if you're a business owner. Business owners are busy. You don't have time. So the thing that I'll say is, if you're getting on a new platform, take a look at how easily you can adapt your content. So I talked previously about there's some comedy groups, for example, that I follow on certain platforms, and I found them on not their primary platform, but then I came, I first saw them on YouTube or not on YouTube, on TikTok, and then I was like, oh, they're on YouTube and they put the full videos there. That's a great example. So we talk about upcycling content, right? Taking a full video. The full video really is the gold standard. If you take a full video, you can turn that into so many different things, right? And those things can go on different platforms. So, for example, this podcast is, over 10 minutes, maybe 15. Generally, a little bit over 11, 15 minute-ish. But I can pull a bunch of clips from that. I can put that on TikTok. I can add that to, I think it's called Instagram. I can add that to Instagram as clips. And then there's Instagram's short form platform that they're building, right? Which is, kind of its version of TikTok. And I can put content there. And that's a great example of, there are two platforms. They're very similar in the way that they present content. But certain people are on Instagram that aren't on TikTok. Certain people are on TikTok that aren't on Instagram. Figure out who the people you want to be targeting are on, and then you can focus your resources there. But, in terms of audio, because I pull out my phone and I listen to a podcast. I don't, especially when I'm running, I don't watch a podcast while I'm running. I'm not going, I almost hit something, I'm listening. So you can take, if you just have a video and you want to expand to audio platforms, you can just pull the audio from it and upload that. And unless you have a super physically oriented, if that makes sense, thing. So if I'm doing a cooking, if I'm always doing cooking demonstrations, for example, that can be a little tougher. Or if I'm, looking at trees, I don't know, or looking at animals, that won't translate very well. But if you're just talking like this, or if you're talking about, if you're a real estate group, for example, and you're talking about a neighborhood or a community or a listing, that can all go audio, that can all be clipped, and it can make transitioning to another platform a lot easier. Big bonus is that initial startup, that creation of the account and the initial growing of the audience is really a super critical time. So if you're wanting to get on a new platform, those first few weeks on it are incredibly vital for the long-term growth and health of your audience. So if you want to get out there with the right foot forward, with stuff you already know does a good job, then you should be taking content from one platform and putting it on the other. Because that's going to get results if you've been, tailoring along the way. And this is just going to make your life, your work that much easier, and it's going to guarantee a better growth of your audience. You know, you can think like, oh, well, I don't need to do this. I'm okay. I'm fine with the way things are. That may be true, but you're leaving money on the table. You're leaving an audience on the table. You're leaving, this, that, or the other on the table unnecessarily, and you'll be outcompeted by people who do their due diligence, who do that work, and who end up seeing that success in those results. So, and with that in mind, let's kind of talk about growing your audience. We kind of addressed it previously, but I just kind of want to wrap up with that. If you're going on a new platform, right? If you are like, okay, this platform makes sense for me, the audience seems to be there, let me get at them. Those first few weeks on that platform are going to be critical for growing your audience. So you want to, upcycle that existing content. Look at the way people similar to you are doing things and try to do something similar to that, right? And just take a look. Watch what does well, what doesn't do well. Kind of weigh things and see, like, does this make sense? Is this getting results? And even if you like it, even if you're like, oh, this should work, people should like this. If people don't, if it's not working, you're gonna have to let it go. I'm sorry, but like I mean, we've had to do that. I've had to do that. It happens. You learn and you grow as a platform, as a person, as a business. From learning from your mistakes, figuring out what works, what doesn't, and just moving on from there. So the same is definitely true with your audience. Finding a good balance of content, finding a good balance of the level at which you engage with your audience is critical for reliably growing your audience in a way that's not going to drive you crazy, isn't going to waste a ton of your time. Doing things like live streams is amazing, is an incredible way to grow your audience, especially on TikTok, especially on YouTube, especially, Twitch is like, that's a big part of it, right? Growing your audience, growing your community is going to involve engagement with that community. Now, do you need to be commenting on every single post, every single comment they make in relation to you? Not necessarily. That might not be a good use of your time. But do you need to be engaging regularly, especially in that critical stage at the beginning? Absolutely you do. So that's about all I have to say for now about growing your audience, getting on a new platform, all that goodness. Something I'll kind of challenge you to do is if there's a platform that you're currently on and just super inactive, or there's a platform where you've been like, I kind of want to do it, but I'm not sure. Don't jump the gun. Don't immediately start posting a bunch of stuff after seeing this. Take a look at what kind of content does well on that platform for your audience, your target audience. Develop a plan of, this is the kind of content I'm going to be producing that I know is, I can almost guarantee is going to do a good job with my audience, and then execute. I'm not saying you need to go from 0 to 5 billion. I'm saying take this time, use that 30 days to learn, 60 days to start building, 90 days to refine, tweak, and perfect the process. That's my challenge to you. But other than that, I'd like to thank you so much for listening and or watching. I really appreciate you guys tuning in every week. And, make sure to like and subscribe, punch that notification bell, all that good stuff. I've been your host, as almost always, John Lint, and I'll see you next week.